One of the big messages we have is we want to encourage content creators to productize in some way, meaning if you leave it up to advertising dollars, you don't have maximum control, and that you should, especially for like education type channels, it aligns to write a book, create a course, do some kind of mentorship, do some kind of coaching. You certainly could do a physical product. My friend Pat Flynn did what's called the Switch Pod and went through a whole product, nice, high quality, multiple revisions. So different ways of productizing. Before we break this all down, we eventually get to sales. Number 4 is products. We look at the framework. What is your thought there if you were coaching a content creator? Would you say, hey, I think if you only depend on ads, you only depend on fame and views, that you're maybe stopping short? Would you encourage people to productize in the creator economy?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing you want to do is build that platform a little bit. If you can get to 5 or 10,000 subscribers, you can do it before then, obviously, but I think you should focus only on getting eyeballs on those YouTube videos, which, by the way, is also hard. We just started a YouTube channel, and it's been, we work really hard at it, and it's going very, very well, but it is slow. So, you got to do that. I think once you do that, and once you own a problem, once you are known as this is who you go to about this, and by the way, that problem can be really niched down. Once you own that, the first thing I would actually do is say, by the way, I'm available for a 1-day session. I can spend 1 day with your team if you're struggling with this, and I would charge maybe $10,000 for that. You will be shocked at how many people will hire you. So you don't have any sort of physical assembly. You don't have anybody other than a virtual assistant. You don't have, you're not having to scale up overhead to produce that product, which is 1 day of your time. That's probably the first place that I would go. And along with that, maybe a keynote. I would develop a keynote. So for $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, somebody can bring you in to speak at a workshop or something like that. Again, you're still selling yourself at that point, but you're cheap. Right? There's no assembly line or healthcare or anything like that you're having to deal with. And I think that's how you sort of get the first extra dollars coming in. And then if you wanted to go beyond that, I would actually sit you down and ask, do you really want to? I mean, if you're making $250,000 a year, you've got great healthcare, you're putting money away, you live in a nice house, you got time with your kids, I would actually sit you down and say, I want you to understand what you're getting into. You go much beyond this, and it's going to own you. It's going to own you for a little bit of time. There's going to be a lot of sleepless nights. A lot of people whose lives are dependent on you in many ways, and they're banking on you. And at that point, you go, okay, do you want to get into that? I say in this book, or actually in a different book, in Coach Builder, I say, how to build a 7-figure coaching business. I spend the first 2 pages of that chapter trying to talk you out of it. They're saying, don't do it. It's not, there's no part of it that's worth it.
To go from $250,000, which would be incredible, to $1 million.
To $1 million or even 10 million.
Or 10 million is going to be painful.
It's going to be painful. So I spend 2 pages talking you out of it. And then I say, okay, if you're still with me, you're with me for one reason. You have no choice. I personally have no choice. I am wired this way, and I don't care. I'm going for it, and I really like it, and it's fun for me. But if I could press a button right now and not be wired that way, I'd do it. And so, you have to mitigate all of that. But that's the real first question. Do you actually want to do this? Do you actually want more than, it's 2024 right now. $250,000 in 2024. It's right around that number if you're married and have a family. It's a slightly higher number because I'm thinking about marriage and a family. If you make more than that, it does not contribute to your happiness. Anything under $250,000, it does contribute to your happiness, right? But anything above that, no part of it's going to make you happy. There's somebody who said to me once, "Hey Don, whatever you own owns you." And so that's the reason we don't have a second home. Or an airplane, or these ridiculous things that people buy. It owns you.
Yep.
And I don't want that stuff owning me. So, there's a constant give and take here. But I think if you add the sort of, I call it a strategy session, a 1-day strategy session. I sell several of them a year. I charge a lot for them. That would be the first thing. The second thing is you on a stage. Now, you on a stage takes you away from home. So you have to calculate whether, how many days a year your family's going to be okay with that. just things like that you have to think through. That's the first. After that, there are certifications that you can sell. You can train other people to do what you do. My friend Nicole Burke has a company called Gardenary. She basically just made a kitchen garden. Her friends asked her how to do it. She started going over. She realized my daughter's going to go to college. I need some money. So she started charging money for that. Then she started certifying people to understand how to make a kitchen garden. She's 7 figures a year now. Just sharing how to put up a kitchen garden. She actually did our garden with my wife, Betsy, and it looks amazing.
Yes.
So there's some models out there on how you do it, and you know probably more than I do about that. But bigger question is, what can you do? How can you get the most money for the least amount of time and keep your margins?
If you enjoyed this podcast and are ready for some deep dive YouTube strategy, just go to thinkmasterclass.com to get access to my 1-hour on-demand YouTube strategy class. You'll be looking over my shoulder as I share my best tips, and you can watch it on demand right now at thinkmasterclass.com.